and welcome to episode 14 of the Hughes Musings podcast. My name is John.
And I'm Carol.
And we are the Hugheses, and this is yet another episode of Hughes Musings podcast.
Surprise attack! We're back so soon.
Like podcast ninjas.
So welcome to our little sneakily building up the numbers / still episode 13.
Gonna hit 52 on the year, just saying. But no, we had so much to talk about because we've been away for a bit, and as we said, we're back into 2020, so that we were doing a double bill, because we've got a big, fat, slimy entertainment bug.
I was like, where are you going with that?
Big, fat, slimy entertainment bug
Ugh.
is where I'm going with that.
A big full leech full of the blood.
Oh. I was thinking like a slug or a snail, but no, you went leech.
I was just trying to think of something that's really full, like maybe a caterpillar before it goes into its wee cocoon.
Okay. I like it.
Becomes a beautiful butterfly.
Yeah.
Butterfly,
Which is what
butterfly.
this podcast is slowly but surely becoming into 2020. A beautiful butterfly.
Rudely interrupted my Julia Donaldson quote.
Go for it.
Butterfly, butterfly, why can't you see? None of these creatures look like me. Quote from my favourite children's book, which is
Butterfly?
Monkey Puzzle.
I don't know.
Yes, you're supposed to know.
And,
I told you
why?
once 3 years ago when I bought the book for Samuel.
Now that you've gone, it's Monkey Puzzle, I'm like, oh yeah, I have heard you say that before, but I wouldn't recall that.
By the way, happy birthday, Samuel. It's your birthday today and you're 7.
Whoa!
Not that he
Whoa.
listens to this, but
No.
if everyone could just send good vibes to
Do you remember
Samuel.
your 7th birthday?
No. I remember roughly my 7th or 8th. I'm not sure when it was, but round about that time, I had a garden party and I invited all my school friends and it was great.
I remember my
We
7th
played Pass
birthday.
the Parcel in the garden. I thought I was living the dream.
That's amazing, yeah. I remember mine, I got in trouble.
Oh, of course you did.
7-year-old, boisterous, it's my birthday,
Do what I want.
jumped up on the garden table and the garden table collapsed.
Oops.
I was in trouble. So yeah, I remember my 7th birthday because I was a silly boy and I got in trouble.
I'm sure that was my 7th birthday when I had that garden party. Yeah, I'm almost sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, 1997.
somewhere around then. So Carol, how's the last 24 hours been for you?
Well, honestly, it's been quite stressful.
Oh no.
Um,
You've been on a big old drive today. You went for a
yeah,
training thing,
I
didn't you?
drove up to Dundee for a training day. So it was 2 hours up there on a road I'd never been before, and traffic and car crashes and all that jazz. But I just put on some podcasts, and when I got through the traffic, I put on my cruise control and my shiny new car and had a wheel of a time.
I was just about to say,
Yeah.
how was the new car on the big journey?
Yeah, so being able to have Spotify and cruise control, 2 things I've never had in a car before.
Right.
It was glorious. My back didn't hurt.
No, because the seats are really
Yeah.
ergonomic. They're really good.
And normally an hour into a drive, my back gets sore. So anyway, I drove up there. I made it on time. Woohoo! And I had so much information thrown at me. And then I had to drive back to Hamilton and
then go to a team meeting where you
team
had
meeting.
so much information.
Yeah, because we didn't have one in December.
Right.
So we had like 2 months worth.
So it's like us. Like it's just a big old catch-up
Yeah.
with all the stuff going in. Yeah.
So John, you cheered me up, didn't you?
I did my best. I was
Yeah.
I was good husband duties.
Yeah. Took me to the stationery aisle.
Yeah, I
Bought me some new stuff.
made stew,
You did.
which we're going to talk about on next episodes.
Yeah, probably next week.
What's on your plate, because we don't know how it's going to be because it's only just settling now.
Yeah, it's in
so,
the slow cooker.
Yeah, so
How's your
Um,
24 hours been, John?
good. I went to the doctor's.
Yeah.
I'm-
Don't say yeah like I don't know the answer. I know.
Yeah.
I know how it went.
Yeah, I went to the doctor's, and she basically just said that I've had a virus, I'm getting over it, I'm going to be tired and run down.
Yeah.
And then she was like, how are you feeling now? Do you need anything? I was like, do you know what? Because I woke up this morning. Of course I did. Feeling loads better.
Oh, typical.
Because it's the day that you go to the doctor, you wake up going, oh, I feel really rested.
Yeah, so John phoned on Monday, and this was the first time we could get an appointment. So.
Yeah, because it wasn't an emergency. It's not an emergency appointment. So
Had to wait
this
a
was
few
the earliest
days,
I could get. So yeah, I woke up this morning feeling fan-dabby-dozy compared to what I felt all
on
week.
Monday.
Like I've still had to take it slowly today. Like I went to the doctor's, had a little walk around the centre, went to the cinema, and then just I came home, relaxed a bit. I haven't done anything strenuous today, but I felt a lot more energized and a lot more normal.
Yeah, you look a bit perkier today.
I feel loads better today,
Yay.
which is great.
And we bought you some multivitamins, didn't you, to kind of give you a wee boost?
With iron in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make me
Wolverine.
strong and that's adamantium. You don't get pills with that in it.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Carol.
I know.
So yeah, no, I feel loads better.
Yay, can't wait to have my John back. That's how I know you're not well, is when you nap.
I've been doing nothing but
Yeah.
napping.
Like, I'll come home from work and I'll be like, John! And he's on the sofa like... like, oh.
KO'd, yeah, because I've done some laundry or a bit of washing up or something. It's absolutely ballsed me for the rest of the day.
But I came home from work and you were away.
Yeah, I was awake. I was editing yesterday's recording.
Yeah.
And I've been, like I said, to the centre, been to the cinema, lots to talk about in the entertainment bug, and I've done some bits of housework, and as I said, made a stew that we'll talk about next week.
Excellent. So, we thought of this next segment a while ago, but I don't think we've ever done it.
No, we've kind of threatened to do it, and then we kind of half talked about one, but we're fully introducing it for 2020, and Carol's found one. But this is this week's viral video.
Okay, here it is.
What is this new filter? Bro, why is they Bro, what is this new filter?
So, when you see the video, I'll post it on Facebook. It is a guy who's got a delayed filter. So, like, he moves, and then, like, a half a second later...
He sees, like, copies of him moving into position with him.
Yeah, but he can see it on the screen, so he gets a fright thinking there's someone behind him.
It's... The first bit is like, oh yeah, that's quite funny. It's when he returns.
He gets a second
It's the second fright that makes me laugh, because it's like, oh, what? as he actually jumps out of the shot. It's amazing.
Oh, so funny.
It's good.
Yeah, really, really good. So, it has had 2.3 million likes.
Whoa.
Yeah. And next is another new segment.
Whoa, just coming at me with all the new stuff. We couldn't really think what to call this, because I listened to a few other podcasts that do something similar, and they sort of look back and they sort of name it different things, and we wanted to talk about like what's happened this week going back through the years. So we came up with a number of names. We couldn't really decide on one. So what we actually decided to do was call it all of them. So the name of the next section, the next segment of our new podcast, brand new for 2020, is Spare Room, Cupboard, Studio, Podcast, Time Machine, Look Back Thing at History.
Woo! So sleek.
Yeah, so smooth.
So straight to the
you
point.
can tell that we've definitely thought about that for a really long time. As I said, had loads of names, used them all.
So, for short, we'll just be calling it the SRCSPTMLBTAH. For short.
History.
Question mark. So this week, 4 years ago, I asked Nicola to be my maid of honour. And this week, 4 years ago, we found my wedding dress. And I said yes to that dress.
Whoa.
Felt like a princess. And And I'm not sure how many years ago, but this week I found out my first placement for Sensatori.
Wow.
So that would have been 2014.
14, yeah, not 2004. You would have been 14.
Yeah, so 5 years ago.
Yep. No, 6 years ago now. 2020.
6 years ago?
Yeah.
So we've known each other for 6 years this summer?
Yes.
I thought it was 5 years this summer.
No.
6 years this summer?
Yeah, 2014 we met, darling.
So that's the important things that have happened to us.
The other one
this week.
is the 3 years ago. We were leaving Tenerife.
Yeah, we had our stag and hen do, didn't we?
Yeah, we had our stand do, and then, which we did briefly mention in the last podcast yesterday. And we also left Tenerife to go home. I think you went to Scotland for a couple of days. I went to Wales.
I think we both went to Wales. Then I left you and I came up to Scotland.
Right.
And then I came back down.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I had it in my head that you went straight to Scotland. But I might be wrong. You might be right.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, you might be right. We might have gone straight to my dad's for you to leave everything and then you go up because you had
I had all my stuff with me. I'm sure.
Right.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. It's weird that, isn't it? But we definitely left Tenerife this week, 3 years ago, in order to do the marriage thing.
That marriage thing.
Right, so this week in history, looking back in our history thing, we're looking at things. So in 1919, the German Workers' Party was established, which later became, you know what I'm going to say, it later became the Nazi Party.
Wow. So how
was-
long did that take them? 1919 and then 1935.
Yeah, but
Is that when the war started? 35?
yeah, the World War II started in 35.
So like 16 years.
Yeah, but that was 16 years of that party gaining more
Yeah, because
political
obviously
power and
yeah.
Hitler then being voted into leadership.
That's mental, isn't it?
But yeah, it didn't take long.
No.
16 years, really, you know.
Yeah, from being founded to like trying to take over the world.
And just staying on the political note, so 80 years later, in 1999, the Clinton trial began. His impeachment for... Do you remember what his impeachment was for? Because, I mean, you would have been quite young at this point.
What year was it?
1999.
Oh, I was 9. No. I
Bill
honestly
Clinton-
don't know much about
Bill
it. So.
Clinton was impeached for being a bit of a naughty boy in the White House with his secretary, I think, or something, was it? And she was found to have done some sordid things with him.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, at school I didn't take history. So I'm honestly a bit
I'm not sure they would have talked about that in history anyway, because, I mean, it was
adulty.
too recent as well to be history.
Well, by the time I got to taking history classes, it would have been like 2004.
Yeah, so it was only 5 years ago. They
Yeah.
wouldn't, I don't think. they
No,
would
was that
have
modern
talked about it.
studies? I didn't do that either. I done geography.
So entertainment-wise, we had
Oh.
Samuel Beckett. His play "Waiting for Godot" premiered in Paris in 1953. I absolutely love that play. I went to see a production of Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen do "Waiting for Godot," which was probably one of its more famous
Runs.
productions. And it's just amazing. I did a bit of it in university as well and just loved it. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there that that play was released. In tech news, we have in 1838 the telegraph code was invented by Alfred Vail, and that was the forerunner for what we now call the Morse code.
Yeah.
So that was in 1838.
Wow, I can't even imagine that.
So all the way back in 1838, you could beat people dirty messages and stuff.
Beep, 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 beep,
Yeah, I bet even the first message was like, "What are you wearing?"
You smell like poo.
Yeah, or something very childish. Yeah. In 2007, Steve Jobs released the first iPhone
2007.
in 2007.
Wow.
That's mad, that, isn't it? Because it feels
Yeah.
like we've always had iPhones now.
Well, in a way, but then I feel like iPhones are still a new technology.
Really?
Yeah.
I think 2007 feels really recent.
I was 17.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I was a
saying.
child.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't, but that's okay. But yeah, I feel like it's
17.
so much older. I feel like
The first iPhone?
yeah,
I thought I'd had an iPhone in high school.
2007. Yeah,
Obviously not.
we've got here. Yeah, you might have had a BlackBerry or
I definitely had an iPod.
or a different kind of different kind of Apple phone maybe. Might not have been the iPhone yet,
No,
the iPhone,
couldn't
you
have
know.
been, no.
But yeah, so that feels like
Wow. I was definitely late to the iPhone game because I had a Nokia and then a BlackBerry and then an iPhone. I was definitely very late to the iPhone game.
yeah, I had like Nokias, and then I was really late to the whole like smartphone thing. I was like, why do I want a smartphone? I just wanted to text and phone and call people. I was like really anti-phone for
Yeah.
so long.
Well, it's funny, I don't use an iPhone anymore. So I was late to the game and left early.
Yeah, I was so late to like the whole smartphone thing, and even then I was like buying like the cheapest possible
Yeah.
phone that I
handset,
could get,
yeah.
and I only started to upgrade was when I started to travel, because then I was like, oh, I need
FaceTime and
a
yeah.
phone with like quadraband so it'll roam for itself, because like before that you couldn't really do that.
No.
So you had to buy a specific quadraband phone for it to roam for itself and all sorts of stuff like that. And then I had that and it broke down like being abroad.
Yeah.
After a couple of months, I was like, no, fine. So I ended up paying for an iPhone and never
Looked
looked
back.
back really.
No?
And can you believe this? Right, okay, this is a really long time ago. So in 1569, the first recorded lottery happened in the UK.
Obviously not on film, but do you mean like a record of a lottery?
Yeah, like it was recorded, as in
Yeah.
like it was like legislated. It was
Yeah,
it was booked,
there is a
you know?
record of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was a record of a
Wow.
lottery.
That's
How do you think how logistically do you work that out? Was it just in like a certain town, or like how did they do that? Was it like a postcode lottery? Someone's knocking at your door.
Imagine it to be
I
like
wonder if they had that.
bingo.
But yeah, the first lottery in the UK was in 1569,
Wow.
proving that we're all a bunch of degenerate gamblers,
Yeah.
and we just love a little flutter, as they say. And then the final history fact, looking back at, is a Dr. James Bedford became the first person to cryogenically freeze themselves in order with a mind to be reanimated later.
Wow.
And that was in 1967.
1967.
Which, because I'm not sure how factually accurate that is, because when did Walt Disney do it? Because that must have been, when did he die?
Recently, I feel.
No, Walt Disney was old.
I feel like he died like within my time.
I'm looking now.
Okay.
But yeah, so it must have been pretty close. It must have been like, he must have been the first of many. See, that says 1967. Walt Disney died in 1966.
Oh.
Now, he apparently has had his head.
I think your facts are wrong then.
I think that fact is wrong.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you're an unreliable source of facts.
I think I'm just chatting shit.
Wasn't that what we always do?
Yeah. So that's our new really successful segment that we've named really, really well.
See if anyone can remember the name of it without flicking back.
I can't remember the name of it without flicking back.
Well, I can.
Go on then, Carol.
Okay, it is spare room cupboard podcast time machine.
You've missed a word
Okay,
already.
okay, shh, stop looking at me. It is spare room cupboard studio podcast time machine look back at history thing at history.
Do you know what? I'm not even sure if you're right because you kind of corrected yourself loads.
It is. Okay, let me do it.
Go for it.
Cut. Okay, let me go for it. It is. I've forgotten the first one. Okay, spare room. Cupboard. Studio. Podcast. Time machine. Look back thing at history.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
Oh, I've got cramp in my foot.
That stressed you out so much you got cramp.
Yeah. It is spare room, cupboard studio, podcast, time machine, look back thing at history. I think that's what I said.
I think that is exactly what you said.
Booyakasha.
Wow, that was a look back thing at history right there.
Yeah, I feel like days have passed.
That was at least the 90s. Right, so what are we moving on to next, Karen?
Your brand new, revamp of the entertainment bug.
Right, so I've got to warn you all just before I play the brand new theme tune for the entertainment bug that something really, really awkward is about to happen on this podcast, even more awkward than our awkwardly titled history segment.
Oh dear.
I am a nearly middle-aged, overweight white man from North Wales. I'm about to rap.
Oh.
Really, really badly. It's great.
Yeah, so don't take it seriously.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a rapper or anything cool at all. This is complete mess around. So,
enjoy!
here you go. So let me tell you about something bugs me when I'm watching TV on my silver screen. And suddenly I find I'm losing my mind. All of my thoughts have gone out of sight. And I never had a way to vent it before. I had some little bugs, invented some more. So take a second, won't you listen to me? The entertainment bug, what is it this week? Oh, you don't bug me now. But we'll figure it out. Oh, you don't bug me now. Yeah, you don't bug me now. You don't bug me now. Yeah, but we'll figure it out. You don't bug me now. You don't bug me now. So that's it. That's the that's the really awkwardness of me trying to rap, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So I don't know if I'm really that bad and you can't stand to listen to it. Please feel free to offer to re-record that. That'd be absolutely fine. So our entertainment bug is huge this week. So we've got loads to talk about. We've got films. So first of all, I'm going to touch on some of the stuff that we've been to watch together, Carol.
Yes.
Yeah, so quite surprisingly to me, we went and watched the new Guy Ritchie film, The Gentleman.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it?
Honestly,
Yeah.
you have to refresh me of what happened. What film was this?
It's the one where they're talking in the room for ages, and it's the gangster one.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, so obviously John had showed me a couple of films. I said, these films are on, read the synopsis, and we'll go see one. And I picked this one, and then we're sitting down, and the title sequence starts, and I'm like, John, what's this movie about? And he's like, it's a gangster movie. And I'm like, why did I approve a gangster movie? I do not like gangster movies.
I know, but it's not even like you approved a gangster movie. You literally said to me,
I want to go see
I want to go and see that. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay then.
The synopsis, they sold it well.
Because any time that you're like, I want to go to cinema with you, I'm like, yeah, great. But I'd fully geared myself up to, it's a Guy Ritchie movie. She's not going to want to watch this. It's absolutely fine. Go and watch it on my own.
No,
No.
I really enjoyed it, actually.
Did you?
I mean, I'm not in a rush to see it again.
Right.
If someone was saying, "Oh, I'm going to the cinema. I'm going to spend an absolute fortune on tickets and snacks. What should I go see?" I wouldn't recommend it. But if someone said, "I've got tickets. I'm going to go see it," I'll be like, "That's a brilliant film.
Right. Okay.
You'll enjoy it."
Okay.
Like
okay.
I laughed.
Yeah.
I jumped.
Yeah.
I listened.
It-
It's a slow burner.
Yeah. I mean,
Wasn't too action packed. I mean, there was action scenes in it, but it wasn't like
it harked back to like. So have you ever seen Snatch?
No.
No, never seen Snatch. Right. So that's one of his
Apart
old.
from Snatch Game.
Cool.
RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think I knew that. But yeah, so it harks back to like his older films like Lock, Stock and Snatch. It's very Snatch-esque without turning into Revolver. Anybody who likes Guy Ritchie films, it's that nice sort of in between where it's got a bit of star power and it's not ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I enjoyed it. It was quite clever. Yeah.
I thought it was quite clever. I thought most of the performances were really good. I particularly enjoyed Hugh Grant, who you're looking at me blankly. He was.
Which one was he?
He was the journalist
Yeah.
who
okay.
was trying to spin the web.
Yeah.
The
The storyteller.
Yeah, I really liked Colin Farrell. I thought he was excellent. He was the coach.
Oh yeah, yeah. He
Yeah,
was really good.
He
yeah.
was really good.
Yeah.
Like the whole like thing, the fuck thing. Yeah. Was really good. That was in
That
one of
was
those
good,
trailers and I was
yeah.
like, yeah, that's good. And it
That
is
was
one
good.
of the best moments
Yeah.
in the whole film. And I thought Matthew McConaughey was okay. He was there, he did what he did.
Which one was he?
He was the American guy, the main guy.
The guy listening to it, or the guy they were talking about?
The guy that they were talking about.
Oh, okay.
He was like the
Yeah,
American
yeah,
one
it's
who
alright,
was the... See, and the guy listening to it really annoyed me.
Oh really?
It is one of my biggest entertainment bugs that this guy gets parts in anything. I genuinely think Charlie Hunnam is a fucking awful actor.
Oh.
He's just... If you just sort out his voice, he wouldn't be bad.
Right.
Like, because he's quite a good physical actor, and you can tell that he thinks about his characters, but his voice is just shocking. What kind of accent was he trying to do? Was he posh British? Was he mildly Cockney? Was he still
Yeah.
American? Nobody fucking knew. In the first 6 lines, he jumped about 3 continents, and it's like, look, Charlie, just sort yourself out, mate, because honestly, like, he just bugs the shit out of me because he could be good. Like, he played Jack Teller in a TV show called Sons of Anarchy. Now, Sons of Anarchy is, like, amazing, and he's brilliant in it because it's like, do a generic American accent. He's like, yeah, I can just about do that. And he can just about do that. And he just, I don't know, his voice really pissed me off through the whole film. I felt really insecure when he was speaking. I was like... What's going to come out? Is it going to be half posh? Is it going to be slightly Cockney? Is it going to be a little bit American? Nobody knows. If you asked him where were you based, he probably doesn't know. He just put on a voice like a prat. And it's been a downfall of his for his last few films. So somebody needs to just get him to go to a voice coach and just get that shit sorted.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I really enjoyed the film. It didn't blow me away. It's not as good as Snatch, but it was all right.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
In most parts, it was all right, and certain people were very good, i.e. Hugh Grant, Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Outside of that, everybody else was okay. And then we took our little nephew to the cinema.
We sure did.
Which we did briefly talk about yesterday, did we? Yeah, we did, because we were saying how I just about managed to get there and not fall asleep.
Yeah.
But we did. We went to watch the John Cena film, Playing with Fire.
Playing with fire!
And Carol, I'm going to throw this one to you again. What did you think?
I mean, overall, it was funny.
Yeah.
It was a children's movie.
Right.
It was a children's movie. I thought it got a bit slow. Kind of. halfway to
Yeah.
2/3 of the way through, and then it kind of picked up again. But there were some really funny moments, really, really funny. I thought the starting was really funny, ending was really good. Middle was kind of up in time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a wee part that I just closed my eyes for a second.
I thought it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Because I thought it was going to be an absolute train wreck, to be honest. The way some people have been talking about it, I thought it was going to be absolutely awful. I did feel like it kind of just skipped along a little bit. Like, I don't know, it was like character development had happened before you realised anything had actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, oh, all of a sudden he's got over that thing now. And it's like, well, when and how did that happen? Like, you didn't see the development of the character.
Kind of rushed it.
It just kind of like, all of a sudden that person was okay with this thing now. And all of a sudden this character now does this. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Cool.
it's a children's movie, so they just want
I guess
to
so.
get to the point.
I guess so. I don't know whether like it was like a miscommunication between writer and editing, because that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Of like the writer has this and then the editor has to cut it down to a certain amount of time for the studio. They have to cut out certain scenes, but I feel like we were just missing bits of information going through, and it was like, oh.
Well, my absolute favourite bit had probably nothing to do with the actual film.
Okay.
So there is a scene, spoiler, there's a scene where, what's the main guy called again? Actor?
John Cena.
John Cena has to change a nappy.
Yeah.
And he puts on his fireman's suit.
Ha!
You know what's coming, don't you?
Yeah, now I
So
remember.
he put on his fireman's suit except the gloves. And he's changing away the nappy. It's a dirty, stinky nappy. They're all like, blah, blah, this is so disgusting. And then the child sharts. And it goes up his sleeve. And it explodes on his face in his mask.
In the face
and there's
mask,
like runny poo running down the glass bit of his mask.
Yeah.
And obviously in the film, they're like, what's going on? But in the audience, 2 rows back, the other side, you can hear this man going, like trying to watch.
He has obviously had a bad experience.
Or just can't cope with poo in people's faces.
But yeah, I feel like it was some sort of PTSD
Flashback.
of a previous like sharting incident. Like he's probably gone to change his child at some point, and it's gone boom, like a poo volcano or something. And yeah, so I feel like that's some sort of sense memory that he's had there, and off he goes. But yeah, he was genuinely like really affected by that. But yeah, so it was better than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Other films that I've been to watch, they're so big. I feel like I've got so much to talk about with them. But I'm going to try and sort of like quickly sum each one of them up. So I don't think I've talked about it fully, because the last time we recorded the podcast was the day after I went to watch it. So as I did say before, I hadn't fully digested it, but I did go and watch Star Wars. I really like that film, and I know there's a lot of Star Wars haters out there. And there's a lot of like diehard Star Wars fans who have so much problems with the continuity of the film. But generally, I thought it was a really well-made film. There were certain bits that I'm not sure why they put in there. There were some great performances. It's not necessarily the ending I would have chosen. It's not necessarily the ending that I wanted, but I did like the ending that it had.
Okay.
But I did feel that they just kind of missed a couple of moments in there. If they just added an extra line here or there, and there's some examples, and I was having a big rant at work about this the other day, of like certain things where they're like, if you just threw that line in there, you would have completely justified that whole thing. Point of example, when Finn's on the ship towards the end and he's speaking to the rest of the characters. Spoilers, by the way, spoilers. But if you haven't seen it yet, you're not really that bothered about Star Wars.
I've not seen it.
So that's fine, but you're not really that bothered. But so spoilers, so if you want to skip past, go ahead. But Finn's on the ship, and he's speaking to the rest of them, and they're like stormtrooper defectors. And he says, "Why did you do it?" And they said, "Oh, there was something just calling out to us." All they needed to do was completely justify the fact that Finn was there and following Rey around and being a hero and doing all this stuff. All they had to do was just say, "We heard about you, Finn." Because he was the original stormtrooper defector who then went and ran off with Rey and started a revolution, a re-revolution. So all they had to do was to completely justify that of like, he is the embodiment of stormtrooper revolution, was gone, "We heard about you." Would have been perfect. That's it. Like, you've completely nailed that. You completely justify why that character is there. So I feel like they just missed a few little moments like that. But I genuinely know for a fact that there's millions of Star Wars fans who are like, if you just said this, if you just done that, if you just done this, if you just done that. But they didn't. They did what they did, and I really enjoyed it. And some of the little callbacks to the original films were beautiful. Spoilers, Harrison Ford's in it. Because even though he died in the first one of this installment, he comes back as like an apparition to Ben, to Kylo Ren, Ben, whatever you want to call him. You can call him both things these days, especially if you've seen the film. And that was beautiful. And there was some really fantastic moments in there. I thought bringing back Palpatine, they kind of just about justified it. And it was great to see such a great actor have a little swan song in that sort of arena again, because it's not something that he does. He's never really wanted to be a Hollywood actor. So it was wonderful to see like a brilliant Shakespearean actor get to like, you know, chew the scenery a bit in a Star Wars film. It was fantastic. So that's what I think of Star Wars. I think it was generally really good, but I do agree with some of the people who are saying that they missed a few moments, but I don't agree with the diehard fans who are like, "Oh my God, it's so terrible. You got everything so wrong. This character never would have done this. This character never would have done that." Shut up. They did what they did. They made what they made, and I liked it. And then moving on to a few films which, to be honest, I think all three of them are in my film of the year category. And that's, first of all, I'm going to talk about Knives Out, which is just an amazingly good film. It's relatively low budget. It feels like a classic mystery with a modern twist. Daniel Craig's brilliant as like the eccentric detective. Felt like a real hark back to those sort of 70s, 80s sort of films, and I just loved it. It was amazing. All the performances were great. I don't have a bad thing to say about it. Absolutely adored the film. I can't wait to be able to watch it again and again and again and again, because I will, because I feel like I'll pull different things from it each time I watch it.
Yeah.
And then this week I've been to watch two absolutely superb films. I went to watch a film called Jojo Rabbit, which is the next movie installment from the wonderful Taika Waititi, who was the writer-director of Thor Ragnarok. And it is phenomenal. When you think... So the two films that I've watched are two war films, and they can't be more different from watching them. Jojo Rabbit is like a dark comedy. Now, I feel like I've seen dark comedies of war films before, and I've always really enjoyed them, but this just had something really special to it. Watching like a dark-skinned New Zealander play Adolf Hitler, I thought, that's going to be ridiculous, but it's brilliant. He is brilliant. The young boy in it is amazing. The Jewish girl who lives on the walls is phenomenal. Sam Rockwell's superb, as he always is. Some really nice little cameo roles from Alfie Allen and Rebel Wilson. Really, really good. Everybody's just brilliant in it. Scarlett Johansson's amazing. It's great to see her branching out and doing things now that she's going to leave the MCU after she does the final thingy. Black Widow installment. It was just a brilliant film. Beautifully made. Yet again, I don't have anything that I think, oh, if you'd just done that, it would have been better, because I just enjoyed it for everything that it was. It was a really beautiful film, and surprisingly poignant towards the end for such a dark comedy, for such a like a ridiculously out there sort of dark comedy. It was really surprisingly poignant, and the messages that they had about exclusion and inclusion and race and acceptance, it's just really beautiful towards the end, and kind of hit you by surprise. I don't think you were really expecting to get that kind of moment towards the end. And yeah, there's some tragic moments in there, there's some hilarious moments in there. Really beautiful film, brilliantly done. Can't wait to see what everybody in that film does next. And then today, I went to watch Sam Mendes' film 1917.
Yeah, I've heard lots of good things about this film.
It deserves all of the praise
Yeah.
that it's getting. It's so unique in the way that it's shot. So when I heard people talking about it, they were like, oh yeah, it's all done in one shot. It's not. Like, it's impossible to do however long a film it is in one shot. But what it is, it's probably split into like 3 very, very long single shots that follow the main characters on the journey that they're on.
Yeah.
And it's just phenomenal.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't.
Did it bring a tear to your eye?
No, it wasn't a tearjerker.
No.
I don't think. I was kind of in awe of the film. It like definitely had some like really powerful, resonating moments, and the 2 lead characters in it were brilliant, both of them. Especially, I think his name's George Mackay, who plays the lead. Who is just brilliant performance, and I think he's got a huge career ahead of him if he keeps working with directors like that and doing sort of interesting new works with people.
Yeah.
And then you've got like so many like huge actors doing cameos in it. Like, they're all in for a scene, you know? You've got people like Andrew Scott, Mark Strong, Colin Firth, Benedict Cumberbatch. And they're all like one scene characters. They're sort of in, help the characters, off they go, you know? But it was just phenomenal. It was a really, really, really good film.
Good.
And then it's not made a big deal out of, but I think it's a family story.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of it, it says this is dedicated to, I think it was Alfred Mendes or something Mendes, who always used to tell us the stories. So I think it's like the story of either somebody he knew or himself, or, you know, but I feel like it's a family story, and I feel like that's a film that Sam Mendes has wanted to make for a very, very long time. And it takes a lot of like clout to get those projects made. Like, you have to earn the respect in the industry to be able to make films like that. You have to have a name that people go, yeah, do you know what, whatever you want to do, we're going to invest in it because you're that good a filmmaker.
Yeah.
He's had to get to that point, and he's done that through making amazing films and leading the Bond franchise on with Daniel Craig, like for the last few years, and just, you know, yeah, so all power to him. I genuinely thought it was an incredible film, and all 3 of those films should win lots of awards. And we've got the Oscars coming up, and we'll do a bit of a deep dive on those soon.
Very exciting.
Television-wise?
What have we been watching television-wise?
I don't know. I feel like I've been talking for a really long time, and people might be getting bored of my dreary voice.
Your beautiful tones.
I don't think so. So we've watched Atypical. We haven't been watching lots of television together, Carol, but we did watch Atypical.
Yeah.
Talk us into Atypical a little bit, please.
Yeah, so Atypical we watch on Netflix, don't we? And a new series just got released, and we kind of just watched them back to back. It's really funny. It's quite dry. It's like not cute, but what's the word? Where it's like
I don't know.
like wholesome.
Yeah.
You know, I mean the storyline. You know, it's like a family, and the son he's on the spectrum, and it's about how he copes with it and deals with it, and how his mum is like overpowering, and you can't do this and you can't do that, and then he like ventures off and he wants to go to college, and it's just really wholesome. But then there are some storylines about like, you know, teenagers being active, and a divorce or separation and cheating and all that kind of thing. So there are kind of darker storylines. I think overall it's a light-hearted comedy, isn't it?
Yeah, it sort of takes big issues and sort of tries to deal with them in a slightly more quirky, light-hearted kind of way,
realistic kind of way, where it's not just like,
it has its moments of having deep drama, but generally tries to take it sort of quite lightly.
Yeah. It's really funny. I definitely recommend it. You should watch it. If you like, it reminds me of like what I feel that young Sheldon should have been.
Oh, could have been. Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It feels like he kind of looks a little bit like Jim Parsons as well.
Yeah.
Like
with the
you
dark
could see
hair,
him and think, hey, do you know what? You could be a young Jim Parsons, just about. But I think all the characters are really, really good. The actor who plays the dad is an actor called Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, he's been in loads of stuff.
Yeah, he's been around for years, like since like the 80s and 90s, and he was like such a cool actor when he was younger, and he disappeared for a bit because when you're a young cool actor and then you stop being young and cool, what do you get cast as unless you like Brad Pitt? And he came up with like the likes of Brad Pitt and Johnny Depp and people like that, and you know, and Christian Slater, and even he's disappeared, and you know, he sort of came up with all those actors, so it's great to see him in a really interesting role.
Yeah.
And he's so endearing.
Yeah, he is.
Like, that character is so
Likeable and
relatable, and like
he's just a regular guy.
Yeah.
He's a standard dad.
In the most recent series, I've got to say, I'm kind of glad they don't have the psychiatrist in it so much. Because I didn't like her.
No, I think
I think they could have done that on purpose.
Yeah, gonna wrote her.
Wasn't such a nice character. Not saying anything against the actress, because I think she obviously plays the character that she's given well. Just wasn't a big fan of the character.
Yeah, I feel that her storyline was really messed up, considering she was a psychiatrist. Like, how
I think they were trying to show, even, you know, psychiatrists can have their own flaws and are working through their own things, and it was like, that's great. Make a show about that.
Yeah.
Like, just make another show about that. That's fine. Like, I won't watch that one.
Yeah, but it's a nice light program to watch, kind of.
Yeah.
And each episode's short. You know?
The relationship that he has with him and his best friend is just
brilliant,
beautiful.
And I think the relationship between him and his sister
is amazing.
As well. And it's quite good that, obviously, like the boy is the main character.
Is the lead of it, but they give her space and time and development.
Yeah, lots of character development. She's not just the sister of a kid who's on the spectrum. Like, she's got her own.
She's got her own stuff that she's going through. Yeah,
things going on, and she's got lots of good storylines and stuff
like
that.
this particular season especially, I felt like the actress obviously had to like tackle some big things with the character
really well,
and you know, she really stepped up, and I think, you know, yet again you're seeing two young performers who, you know,
they're great.
have really promising careers.
Yeah, I always forget that I'm watching actors when I'm watching those two main characters, especially. Like, I get so caught up in the story and they're acting that I don't see them, they delivered that line wrong, or they're awkward or whatever. Like, I think they play their characters really well.
But that's what you're supposed to do.
Obviously, that's the goal.
No, that's what I'm saying. So if an actor or actress does their job well, you stop thinking them.
Yeah, you stop seeing them as actors.
Yeah.
Actors. But, I mean, her storyline, spoiler, her storyline this season is you question her sexuality, and I just feel like it's so overdone. It's so stereotypical.
Yeah.
She goes to college, well, not college, but she goes to high school and questions if she's a lesbian or not. It's like, oh, come on, we've had this storyline 1,000 times. But I think they kind of dealt with it quite well. And yeah, it wasn't the main storyline. It was just kind of a wee side plot.
Yeah, I thought they did well with it as well. And then there's been a few shows that I've been watching on my own. Now, this one I think you've seen bits of, Carol, because you might have been
Fallen
picking
asleep
up
to it.
on... yeah, you might have been picking up on bits because it's been John's late night watch.
Oh.
But I've been watching on Amazon The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is about a stand-up comedian in sort of... I think it's the late 50s, early 60s, sort of 50s, 60s era. Must be because it's got Lenny Bruce in it. Now I'm a big Lenny Bruce fan. In that, like, I really admire what he did for comedy. This whole like stand-up observational comedy that we have these days wouldn't exist without Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
He's the first person who came along who wasn't doing gags and bits and skits and taking on characters and having catchphrases. He was the first comedian who really sort of came up and I don't know, hit, like, he was the first comedian who made it mainstream, who just came up and went, oh, look at that thing in everybody's life. That's quite a funny thing, isn't it?
Life,
and he was the first one who sort of came on about observational comedy, and he was a bit risque and quite political in the way that he did it as well. He got arrested quite a lot of times.
Jeez,
He's
oh.
notoriously got put in jail like tens, maybe hundreds of times because of what he'd say about the government. I mean, like what he'd say about life and the government, and you know, you couldn't talk about certain, like, you could hint at sexual things, but you couldn't openly just go and say sexual things, you know. And he was arrested loads, and he took a massive stand of like, you can't stop me saying what I'm
so
saying.
Weird to think people got arrested for comedy sketches. Like, whoa.
But that's it. Like, and the reason we find that so ridiculous now is because of people like Lenny Bruce. Now, it's not historically accurate because there wasn't that female comedian in at that point. That came a little bit later, in the late 70s, towards the 80s, and kind of came from the UK rather than America. With certain comedians sort of from the UK, like Victoria Wood and Joe Brand and people like that, and they sort of changed the game. Ruby Wax, she was like really controversial, but she was American, I think.
Right.
It's either American or Canadian. And they sort of changed everything. Joan Rivers as well, like, you know, famously very, very outspoken woman.
Yeah.
They sort of changed that a little bit later, so there was no Mrs. Maisel, but it's just a great show. It's really good. All the actors are brilliant in it. It's so nice to see certain actors do brilliant things. The guy who plays the father used to do a TV show called Monk. It was amazing. He was in a film called Galaxy Quest as well. Love the actor. He's phenomenal. It's got some really nice cameo parts in it. All the actors are really, really good. She's very endearing and very funny. Whether it's like massively scripted or not, genuinely really good delivery, and really has like that timing online on the screen and on stage. And I keep thinking I'd quite happily go and watch a comedian now who is telling those kind of jokes.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, you know, and she's so good. So really, really enjoyed it. And then in the most recent third season, they bring in one of my favourite actors. There's a guy called Sterling K. Brown, who's a brilliant actor, who I've seen in loads of things, everything that he's ever done. He's like one of those actors who's got like real like intensity to everything that he does, and I just love watching him. And he plays like the manager of the tour that she gets signed up to, and he's like the overall tour manager. And at first you think he's a horrible bastard, and then he's really, really nice and helpful, and then bang, right at the end of the season he drops a bomb. It's amazing. It's so good. So good. So I can't wait for more seasons, and I'm glad that I've been a little bit late to this one because I enjoyed block watching 3 seasons of it.
You do love
And
a binge
now,
watch.
now I'm happy to go on board and watch it season by season. So that's been amazing. So I've been watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and if you haven't watched it yet, or you don't have Amazon, find a way to watch it because it's amazing. And this one I'm totally current with. It only came out, I think, last week or the week before, and I've been watching The Witcher.
I've not watched it, but a girl in work talks about it a lot.
Does she know where it comes from? Does she know the games? Or is she
I
just
don't
into
know.
the show because it's got Henry Cavill in it?
I don't know because I don't watch it. It's hard to follow the conversation.
Sure.
She talks about the books.
Right, okay, yeah, books, games, and then...
I feel like she's read the books, and she's just watching the program now.
Right.
But it's like translated or something.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the source material.
Right.
It was on Netflix and everyone's talking about it. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure she said something like it wasn't originally written in English, so
Right.
the translation of the books is off or something. I can't
Right.
remember exactly.
I'm
what
sure
she
that
was saying,
they've
but-
had computer games as well.
Right.
But just it's really good. It's really good. But I've got to be honest, I'm not massively knowledgeable about the source material, which is rare for me. Because usually I will go and check out the source material
Yeah.
before I go and watch something. But it wasn't something that I
popped
was
up?
like, yeah, I was like, okay, well, everyone's talking about it, and this toss a coin to the Witcher song that everybody's going on about from the TV show. I was like, yeah, I'll have a listen. I was like, oh, it's all right. Yeah, okay, I'll watch it because I quite like Henry Cavill. He's all right in most things. Loved it.
Yeah.
Brilliant series, really, really well made. Outside of just Henry Cavill, the supporting cast that they've got there and the young actors and actresses that they've got in there, really good, really, really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops from the point that it's sort of got to towards the end of season 1. I'm just really interested to see how that's going to develop, but really enjoying it, and the way it was written.
Sorry, I've got such a tickly throat.
I know, I can tell. The way it's written, I think you'd find it really frustrating, though.
Oh, really?
Because it does that thing that you hate, that it's not linear,
Oh, it jumps forwards, backwards.
but it's
Oh.
so not clear, and you kind of realise, and you're like, oh my God, that's not happening right now. Holy shit, that happened 30 years. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden, it doesn't even like drop a bomb on you.
Oh.
Just somewhere in the conversation, she's like, yeah, 30 years ago. And then you're like, that character's got sick. Oh my God, that's the adult character of the child that we just saw.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so like it lets you put it together yourself. It doesn't go, oh, by the way, this was the past and this is now.
Yeah, I remember the
It
girl
lets
at
you
work.
just follow the story and then reveals it to you as you go, and you're like, whoa, that's cool.
I remember the girl at work saying that she's been watching it with her friends, and after each episode, they have to sit down and be like, right, what happened?
Yeah, I get that.
What have we learned? What do we know? Like, they have to proper discuss it after each episode.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know what I'm like. I'm usually pretty
Yeah.
on the ball
On it.
watching things, and I can quite happily explain things as they happen. But I've had to find myself. I've watched the most that I've done is 2 episodes back to back,
And that's been enough.
and I've had to come away and go right. I need to sort that out for you, don't I?
Yeah, John has moved my chair to an uncomfortable position. I can't get comfy.
It was from the disaster that I had with the bed. So I moved some of the slats around, and I forgot that Carol sits at the end of the sofa bed. So I took the slat from the end, so she's now sitting essentially in a gap
Yeah.
where a slat should be. So I need to take a slat from a different point of the bed, either that or just replace the fucking slat.
Yes.
So I think we're going to replace the slat. But anyway, so yeah, I watched The Witcher. It was very, very good. And I've had a big fat nostalgia trend with Parks and Rec, as I was saying. I'm really enjoying that because, as I said, I can only watch 1 or 2 of The Witcher at any given time. And I'm also watching a TV show called Queen of the South as well, which is pretty heavy going. So I'm breaking that up with a nice, tasty little morsel of Parks and Rec, because it just brings me pure, unadulterated joy.
You also started watching The Office.
Yeah, we did. We've started rewatching The American Office
Well-
because I've been watching a few episodes because I couldn't be bothered changing the channel, because I always said I wasn't going to watch it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But because I wasn't a massive fan of like the British Office,
I think they're so different.
and I
though.
didn't really see the need to like remake it American, because they made Shameless and I watched that and I hated that.
Right.
And I was like, no, there's no point in remaking British TV shows American because it's stupid and it doesn't work. When really what I should have thought about was, it's all they're doing is taking the situation of working
Yeah.
in an office with
Yeah.
a bit of a dumbass manager
Yeah.
and an interesting, like, weird crowd. And that's easily translatable to any country.
Yeah, I think it reminds me a lot of Parks and Rec. Like, it's quite similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. That's the thing. But yeah, so we've been picking that up, and we're going to talk about it more in depth once we've watched a lot more. But at the moment, we're just picking up episodes on the Skybox, so it's like fishing for episodes.
Yeah.
So we set
they're
it
not
all on
really-
Series Link, so we're just waiting for them all to come in. So we watched about 6 episodes, and we're just waiting for the rest to come in.
Yeah.
And last, but well, probably least as well, actually.
Yeah, definitely. at least.
Yeah, definitely least. Considering we've been talking about things that are probably going to win Oscars and some superb seasons that might win Emmys. I think, yeah, this is definitely least. We've been watching reality TV again. We are
Our
reality TV watchers,
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Our guilty pleasure.
I wouldn't say I'm a connoisseur. I'd say that I'm a reluctant eater. But yeah, so Love Island started again, and we've been watching that
it's
together.
Winter Love Island, the first ever Winter Love Island.
So is it that what it's officially called, Winter Love Island?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah. Because they're doing a winter one and a summer one.
right, okay.
So this one is filmed in Africa.
Yeah. What do you think so far?
Meh.
Yeah,
It's too early to tell. I feel like you've got to like have that character development,
I
get
guess
to
so.
know them and stuff like that. Because naturally you judge them straight away. You're like, you're annoying. You do this. You do that. So we've got Lewis Capaldi's ex-girlfriend in there. Very exciting.
brilliant.
There's a guy, Ollie, who's just left. Although there was petitions to get him
Yeah,
kicked out.
yeah, Ollie, yeah.
Yeah, so he was
Yeah,
like,
I'm a farmer. Fuck off, Ollie.
well, apparently the land that he was bragging about inheriting, he isn't actually going to inherit. It's been donated to the National Trust.
Of course it is.
And there was
what a
photos
plank.
surfaced of him hunting, like show hunting or whatever it's called. Where,
Of course he does. He's a lardy-dar. Of course he
yeah.
fucking
So there was
hunts.
petitions to get him out, but then apparently he's walked out anyway. But,
Yeah.
there's no one else. There's some twins that have just arrived
Meh. They're annoying.
who can't stop licking their teeth.
Yeah, they're well annoying, the pair of them.
Yeah. So I mean, it's early days.
The only
Girls,
two
girls.
that I even mildly like at the moment is the couple that aren't a couple that don't like each other. Or, well, who don't fancy each other.
Is that Naz and
Shanice.
Shanice.
I quite like them.
Yeah.
I quite like both of them. I think they're both mildly endearing.
I think
Like,
the girl,
I think in other groups they would have fallen by the wayside already. Like, if you think how strong and charismatic the group that went in at the start in summer were.
I can't even remember who it was. Let's be honest.
Well, if you think like there was people like Tommy Fury and
Yeah.
Curtis.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of the girls that were in at first.
Molly May. She came in. Like
She
a
wasn't
few
in at
days
first. She
late,
came in a little
yeah.
bit later.
Amber.
Lucy. What's the one? The mouthy bitch that I hated.
Amy. No, she wasn't mouthy, but she was in it. Amy was in it.
Amy was there. She was all right.
Maura. She came in late.
Yeah. But yeah, if you think how sort of strong and charismatic that group were, I'm just not feeling it from this group yet.
It's so early though. I think that you've got to
We'll
let
see.
them develop
We'll
because they all
see.
just look like they want to be Instagram famous. Like they don't really look like real people yet. We've not really got to know them yet.
I guess so.
So
I guess so. But at the moment, I'm not
Oh,
exactly.
who was that girl who was like, shut up. And she was like a pharmaceutical person.
That's the one that I was talking about. The one that I
Anna.
fucking hated. Anna.
Anna.
Yeah, she's a bellend. Do you know what I saw today? It was as a social media story that Amber and Ovi might be getting together, like in real life.
I've been seeing loads of stuff on TikTok of them, like, but dude, she's like, he's just my best friend.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay. I mean,
But they have been spending a lot of time together.
we all saw it though. We all saw it in the house,
We all
right?
hoped for it, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, they say that they have like a brother-sister love.
Bullshit.
So we'll see.
Bullshit. So yeah.
I'm
That's Love
shattered
Island.
after that.
As we did say, that is a big, hefty bug.
A meaty bug.
And then quickly, Carol, I've got one last thing to ask you.
What's that?
Carol, what's a moozing?
Well, considering it's 2 weeks into the new year, let's talk about the new year.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the thing that we're not right. We're going to say what it is, but then I'm not going to mention what it's called again. We're going to talk about New Year's resolutions, which I don't believe in.
No, you don't, do you?
No, but I have got goals and aims for 2020. So if people want to call them a resolution, fuck you. But I have got goals and aims. There is things that I want to do. So this year, I want to play music more, which I'm
Yes.
going to do.
You already have been doing a wee bit with your wee jingles.
So yeah, I've been doing my jingles. I'm going to do a lot more recording. I've been promising to record things for people for actually years now, which I'm going to get done.
Since last decade.
I might be reconnecting with a person that I used to work with, hopefully, because they've just moved to Scotland, so we're just waiting for them to settle in, and we might be playing music soon. I'm going to be doing a weekly, well, maybe not a weekly cover, but at least a monthly cover on here, where we'll talk about an artist, we'll talk about a song, how it happened, why it happened, and I'll play the song and we'll post it on YouTube and link that to all our sites and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you've said it out loud, you've got to do it now.
So yeah, now it's out there in the ether, although I could edit this out because I do edit the podcast as well. So yeah, I'm going to play some music for you guys, and any requests, let me know, throw them out there, and we'll get them recorded each week, and hopefully I'll get some guests as well to do some little harmonising and do some arrangements with me and stuff like that.
I'm ready whenever you are.
Can't wait, Carol. Can't wait for a Rix. Oh yeah, we should definitely do that. Loving you. You should definitely do it. And then my other goal, as I've been saying for a while, is to shift some weight.
Woo!
I have already been, but then I got whacked by the flu again. So we're going to have to pick it up next week.
Yeah, it's hard when you're not well and you're feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah, that's it.
You don't eat right, you don't move right.
I haven't even been able to stay awake, never mind lift a weight. So that's it, really. And I might try and start writing again, because I was writing a novel for a while.
Yeah, you used to sit up every night writing.
Yeah, so that's it.
But it's not good for you to do it at night, because then your brain gets carried away and excited.
It does. I tell stories to myself all night. It's nuts.
So you need a daytime activity.
Those stories are still clocking over in my head at night before I go to bed and that. So yeah, we need to get some of those written down. So my resolutions, or my goals for this year, is to lose some weight and be more creative. In a generality, is what I want to do.
Sounds achievable, my love.
I think so. As long as I sort of apply myself, and I think that's gonna, it's gonna do good for my mental health as well. Because if I'm just dealing with people's finances and then coming home every day, that's not a kind of existence that you can just live off. That's not enough.
No.
You need joy
in
your life. You need that thing that's gonna make you smile, and being creative makes me smile. So Carol, what's your resolutions? What makes you smile? What are you going to work towards this year?
Oh, I think the generic ones.
Yeah?
I'm going to try and be healthier.
Yeah.
I do want to kind of get my weight back down a wee bit. It's kind of crept up over the last few months. So.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I don't think it has. Personally, I can't see anything, but
The scales say it has.
I know when you're feeling like that, and if the scales are saying it, it's good to like just nip that in the bud before it gets out of control. Before that then starts to become a mental process where you're letting yourself go. You're letting yourself like do stuff that you wouldn't normally do because you're just like, oh fuck it, it's creeping up anyway. Yeah,
so I normally set targets at. So my first kind of mini target was for the summer, and I achieved that, surpassed it, was amazing. My next kind of mini target was in the winter, and I think that's where my problem has been. Like, the winter is a hard time to reach weight goals. So I've set myself one for the summer. We've got a wedding on the 28th of May.
Yeah, I've got a target for then as well.
And that is my target. So hopefully the fact that it's the summer and the light nights and all that kind of jazz will help me. So the generic one of be healthier is number one.
Yeah.
Another one I've got is that I want to be wiser with my finances.
Okay.
Like, we don't struggle.
No,
we live very comfortably.
Pretty well off, yeah.
But I do feel that I waste a lot of my money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and be a bit more, a bit wiser with my money, with my spends.
I think our biggest thing is that we don't put money aside.
Well, I do. I
we
put
live
money,
well, but we don't put enough money aside.
Yeah, I put money in the joint savings account and my personal savings account every month.
Right.
But my tax got messed up last year, so I've been hit with quite a big bill.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, all my savings is having to go towards that.
Yeah.
But there's still a little bit in the joint, so that's okay. So continue. Yeah, put more into those would be ideal. And the last one is to take more time for me.
Right.
Like, if when I come home, I will watch TV or sit on my phone or just waste time.
Right, okay.
Doing nothing.
Uh-huh.
I want to take either an hour a week or a couple of hours on a Saturday when you're at work and I'm off and do things that bring me joy. So whether it's doing my crafts, going a walk, like we had a great weekend. I think it was last weekend, where we went on a nice little walk and we went out for lunch and it was just so
that
nice.
That wasn't weekend just gone, that was the weekend before.
The weekend before, was it? This Saturday I think I'd hung out with my parents, done a wee bit of shopping, went for lunch, and then on the Sunday you and I went out a nice little walk, and then we had like a kind of early dinner. Like a date, it was just so nice.
Yeah, did feel like a date day, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we haven't done it for ages, so it was lovely.
So just to take time that's not housework or sitting on my phone or watching rubbish on TV, but to do something that makes me smile, whether it's crafts, walking, just something every week that is about me. Yeah. So they're my 3 goals, which I think are very generic goals, but that's my 3 kind of
it's good
plans for the year.
It's quite similar to mine, you know what I mean? Just be healthier, do some stuff that makes you happy, mentally healthier, and make yourself smile and be productive. Be your best you.
Be the best that you can be.
Yeah, I resist to use the phrase "living your best life," but that is essentially what you're trying to do.
Yeah boy.
So that is a lot. We've droned on about entertainment for a really long time, talked about our resolutions, we've added in some new segments, and we've got an entire laundry list of segments done in a week. So thank you very much for listening, guys. We'll be back next week with a regular episode. It won't be a double bill again, because we can't do that.
Nuh-uh.
Not every week. So we look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, what's your resolutions?
We're going to try and reach out to you guys a lot more this year, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll be posting some questions, posting some polls, posting some interesting stuff on our social media, on our website over the next few weeks. So get involved, and we've still got our aim of getting a follower that we don't know. We haven't had one yet.
Not yet.
We're looking to you guys to help us out with that, please.
Yeah.
But thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Chat to you next week.
Bye.